Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson. And we are up for the day after a gap up, rundown, gap, and then move back up. What is it? It's a consolidation day. What do we do in the markets when it consolidates? Nothing. Yes, very good. We don't do anything. Best to just sit on your hands, let the markets have their way. At least in the indices, stocks really didn't do a whole lot either. There were some stocks that did have some decent movement to it, but otherwise, if you don't have anything that's really moving, you're better off to just walk the dog, take the day off, or not do anything. This was one of those days, just a consolidation day. What are we doing? We're still trying to find our direction. I'm getting some conflicting ideas of where we're going in the markets. So I'm still, personally, I shouldn't say we're still, I should say I'm still waiting for confirmation either way of which way to go. You can see the Dow still fighting with the 10,300 mark. Look at this, up here, run down, run up, and they kind of finish right where we kind of left off for the day. Consolidation day, but holding the 20 and the 50. We are still moving our way upwards, but can't seem to break this 10,300 area. 10,400 is now the next line in the sand to get over, followed by 10,600 in my book. From a daily standpoint, look here. This is what we're seeing. See how we're still stuck below the 200-day moving average? I talked to you guys that this might be rough going on the way back up. Sure enough, that's exactly what we're seeing. Now, is this a bear flag? Could be. Is it consolidation for a push higher? Could be. That's where we're at. That's why we're in a we're still in kind of a consolidation stage, as it were. I'm just looking for confirmation. I really need to push back up and above these levels here that we're talking about. Got to get back above the 200, and ultimately for me, above the 20, above this blue would be perfect. That would be a much more line of confirmation for me if and when we get there. But as it stands right now, guys, I have to remain neutral to bearish on the markets until we push up and over. Then maybe I can move to a short-term bullish standpoint. But absolutely not until we get up and over, and more importantly, close above those levels. Absolutely not. Charts will not let me make a bias for the bulls quite yet. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. As long as this 200 holds, it's bearish, guys. Still bearish. We'll be watching that as we push forward. Here's where some of the non-confirmation comes in, and that is, look at the NASDAQ already breaking up and over this blue line. Up over 1880 was my call to the long side. Gap above, pulled back, held the 1880, and moved right up from there. So it didn't go anywhere, but it did give you about 15 points of opportunity here on its way to what I believe has to be the 200 at least. Just a little push above 1900 now, I think it goes right back to 1918. Just makes sense. That's where it wants to go. That's where it's being pulled. If it starts to fall tomorrow, watch to see if this blue line holds now on a retest. But as it stands right now, the NASDAQ's leading the way. Let's see if the other indices are even strong enough to follow it. You can see it broke the blue line. This falling blue line finally got it today. That was also above the 1880 area. We were above the 20-day, so good place to look for an entry was right around that 1880 mark today. Didn't get it till we pulled back because we had a gap up, which I said best way to beat these things is to gap up and over. Don't be surprised if some sort of good economic data comes out tomorrow. We thought it might happen today. Look for tomorrow, see if some good economic data comes out, and we gap up and over these areas on the Dow and the SPX. But as of right now, NASDAQ showing strength as it always does. From a weekly standpoint, too, we're at the end of Thursday's trading and back above the 20-week moving average. NASDAQ and the bulls are going to absolutely want to hold this level to see if they can start this bounce back to the upside. Let's see if that's where we close tomorrow. 60-minute on an SPX chart, not there yet. See, we got to 1105. Yeah, and then pulled back, coming right back up to it. If you took a trade over 1105, you're basically break even on the day. Holding overnight, still sketchy, hard to know. 1110 is really the mark. Ultimately, 1115 would be another really good place to get long. If we do, I'm watching 1130, and more importantly, the 200 as well on the 60-minute chart for my overhead resistance. From a daily standpoint, Can't beat the 200. Can't beat the 20. Looking for this blue line. All sitting around the 1120-ish. Ultimately, 1130 is still my bigger go long line for you swing traders out there. But we'll see if we can even get up and over this area here. Right now, the charts refuse to allow me to get too bullish right here. It's still neutral to bearish on the markets for me. Pushing our way up, holding the 50-week moving average, trying to come back into these higher levels and reach that 20-week moving average, but moving very slowly. No confirmation as of yet. Volume after Thursday, little to none. So we'll see if we get any kind of a push tomorrow. It's still anybody's call right here. VIX on a daily did fall ever so slightly, down 2%. So we are back into that yellow zone we've been talking about. It's anybody's call here. It's a weekly candle. A little bit of a move to the downside puts us back in the red. A little bit more move to the upside keeps us down in this yellow. Like I said, maybe the markets use some sort of news to catapult themselves one way or the other. But as it stands right now, it's still neutral to bearish on the markets. Apple doing nothing. Look at this. Look at this. Boom, 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 moving away just sideways here. That ultimately, though, I will tell you this, that ultimately is actually kind of bullish until it breaks back down below this 254 level and gets back into this area. I'm really not looking at it for a short, really, for the time being. You might want to go short intraday below 260, but I'm still watching for a break above 265, 266 for an entry to the long side. From a daily standpoint, you can see we're heading up here, getting all kinds of these little potential reversal candles, and none of them are playing out yet. We've had a couple. We had another one today, but it's still holding this higher level at around, I don't know where that's at, 262, 261. I don't know exactly where it's at. It's got to be close to, how about this? Where did we close? 263. Okay, we got this line here has got to be close to 263, 260, 250, somewhere around in there. Ultimately, holding that line, that is bullish. As long as it keeps holding support, they're doing fine. From a weekly standpoint, up and above the blue, still think it's going to want to hold that if at all possible. Maybe even push its way up tomorrow. I'd be watching for a break. Any break up and over that 265, 266 area, I think could be a pretty good trade in Apple. FAS on a 60-minute, this is all sideways. It's really kind of a symmetrical triangle right here, so we'll be looking for a break one way or the other. No trading to be done here. It was straight sideways, as you can see from the daily. Straight sideways. If you're swing trading this, you're getting slapped. It's doing nothing for the last 2 weeks. Even intraday trading FAS was terrible today, which means intraday trading FAZ was terrible today. Really nothing to do here on these particular stocks. You can see us moving sideways here again. It was able to get back up and over and hold the 20-day moving average, but it's anybody's guess if that'll actually make it into the end of the week. Maybe one more drop, getting us below 14 is still a good trade back into this 13 area, but sideways chop. Only intraday trading on the FAS and FAZ, please. That would be the most logical and most professional way to trade these markets right now. All right, that'll do it for today's video. Not much to talk about in these consolidation days, except that we moved sideways. Yahoo! Waiting for these breaks. Still waiting for breaks over 10,300, as we have been now for umpteen amount of time. Ellioticians, a quick 1-2-3A, 1-2-3B, maybe a 1-2, working on a 3 to the upside. This could probably this would more than likely maybe be even a 5 wave up. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, you're watching these overhead areas, 10,300, then 10,400, then 10,600. Those would be the areas I'll be telling you to watch tomorrow on the charts. Dailies, the 200s, baby. Gotta get them back up and over those 200-day moving averages. And so far, they're holding really, really, really well. So, I'm stuck until we break these upper levels. I'm not bullish until we, until we really start to fall. I'm not going bearish either, but I have to remain neutral to bearish here. All right, be back with you tomorrow night. Let's see if we get any movement coming into the weekend, and I'll be back with the weekend review. Bye.